Good day, my dear greetings. Today we're going to be on the topic of the chemistry of life and organic compounds. So first and foremost, they have carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are made of three elements, which is what? The carbon element, the hydrogen, and the oxygen is. So the ratio of the carbohydrates is going to be 2 to 1, which means the two hydrogen atoms and there is one oxygen atom. So carbohydrates are made up of smaller units called saccharides. So these saccharides are going to be divided into three types of saccharides. Yes, carbohydrates are then divided into three groups called groups according to the number of the saccharides they contain, as I said. So the three types of saccharides are going to be the monosaccharides, the disaccharides, the polysaccharides. So the monosaccharides, as you can hear this word mono means one, which means it is single. So it's a single sugar such as glucose, fructose, and galactose. So when we refer to monosaccharides, always think of glucose, fructose, or galactose. So then we go to the second type of saccharides, which is this saccharides, which are double sugar. D stands for double. Yes. So it means double sugars. Maltose, sucrose, and lactose. Each and every time they say of this disaccharides, the three elements that should come to your mind is what, or the three sugars that should come to your mind should be the maltose, the sucrose, and the lactose. So the disaccharides are formed when two monosaccharides are joined, obviously, when glucose, fructose, and water are joined. So we're going to the last one called the polysaccharides. Polysaccharides, as you can hear the word poly, there are many sugars, for example, starch, glucose, and cellulose. Polysaccharides are long chains of monosaccharides. So polysaccharides are just many chains of what monosaccharides. I'm going to show you this diagram below that was upcoming. So for now, let's jump into proteins. Yes, this forms parts of the organic compounds. So proteins are large molecules that are made up of the elements carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. Some proteins may also contain what we call phosphorus. Yes, may also what we call sulfur and iron. So proteins as a whole are like to be referred as amino acids. So yes, proteins are made up of long chains of amino acids, which are the building blocks. So each and every time you refer to proteins, remember that amino acids are the building blocks of proteins. Yes, because it's going to come up a lot in your examinations, whereby they ask you that what are the building blocks of proteins, whereby we must state that the building blocks of proteins are amino acids. Yes. So there are about 20 different amino acids. The sequence and the type of amino acid acid determines the type of protein. This information you don't need to worry about, but then just to consider your information, please familiarize yourself with it. The bond that forms between two amino acids is known as a peptide bond. So the bond that forms along or between two amino acids, which are the building blocks of what of proteins, are known as peptide bond. So like, if only you can see in this diagram here, uh, these are amino acids, as you can see. These blocks are amino acids. Then this little string connecting these amino acids, which is the peptide bond, that is what we're exactly referring to. So we have also what we call a dipeptide, which is formed as a dipeptide, which is formed when two amino acids combine, and a tripeptide. I'm so sorry the pronunciation today. I don't know what's wrong with my tongue. Tripeptide is formed when three amino acids combine together. So a polypeptide is a long chain of amino acids linked by peptide bonds. Yes, a protein consists of a chain of at least 50 and more amino acids. Proteins this is another important thing that you must know, that proteins are sensitive to temperature and pH, and they will denature, whereby the protein loses its shape and can no longer perform its function at high temperatures and at extreme pH levels. You're going to understand this topic or this concept of denaturing when you go to enzymes. Yes. So last but not least, we have what we call lipids. So lipids there are also information of organic compounds. So lipids they contain three elements, which is the carbon element, the hydrogen element, and the oxygen element. So the ratio of hydrogen obviously to oxygen is 2 to 1, which is H2O. One lipid molecule consists of one glycerol molecule and three fatty acid molecules. Yes. And I think this we have what? Lipid. This is the main concept. Lipid, glycerol, fatty acid. So in one lipid molecule, there is one glycerol molecule, which consists of three fatty acid molecules. Yes. Hopefully that is understood. So we have two types of fats, which is the saturated fat and the unsaturated fat. The saturated fat have single bonds in the fatty acid chain and are mainly derived from animals. So this means that this fat, it is mainly stored in room temperatures, yes, such as what you call butter, cheese, and everything. They are not like cooking oil. Cooking oil is not stored at room temperature. Yes. So then, because there's mostly oily, have one unsaturated fat, have one or more double bonds in the fatty acid chain, and are mainly derived from plants. So saturated fat are mainly derived from animals, such as animal fat or butter or cheese, or even the fat that you might find in cow meat. That's also saturated fat, whereby it comes in huge chunks, and it is solid at room temperature. But unsaturated fat, it is liquid at room temperature. Excuse me. Just like oil, it is liquid at room temperature. So that's the difference between saturated fat and unsaturated fat. So with that, our lesson whereby with the organic compounds are explained, I just come to an end. The next lesson will be based on the types of testing, or the type of food testing agents that can be used between proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, and glucose. Yes. So stay tuned, my great turns, and I hope that you study harder for your life sciences examinations. Good luck.